For you to be able to follow along with me in this video, I'm assuming a few things. That you've set up your GitHub account, that you've installed Visual Studio Code, that you've installed Git on your computer, and finally and obviously that you've set up Python using Conda on your computer as well. If you haven't done that already, please go ahead and do that. Pause the video, I'll be here, not going anywhere, and then come back. So this week's assignment is the environment setup check. And basically what we're trying to do here is making sure that we all have the same development environment on our computer. This way we can prevent this issues where you could tell me, hey, this is working on my computer, but it's not working on this other computer. By using a reproducible development environment using Conda, we're going to be able to avoid those issues. Also, this workflow of using GitHub Classroom is going to be one that you'll be using throughout the semester for almost all the assignments that we're going to have. So over here, I'm on Canvas. There is a little bit of an overview about what this assignment is about and why does it matter and what is it that you're actually trying to achieve by doing this assignment. It also explains what are the learning outcomes that we're trying to accomplish here. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll find the step-by-step guide that you need to follow. So first step is always going to be accepting the assignment invitation link on GitHub Classroom. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this link right here. This will take you to this screen right here where you get to accept the assignment. And essentially what that does is it will use some of the starter files that are provided, and it will create a private repository that only you and I, or only you and the teaching staff will be able to access and see. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this link, which will take me to my GitHub repository. And from here, I will copy the link to this repository, and I'm gonna switch over to my Visual Studio Code. So when you open it for the first time, or every time you open a new window in Visual Studio Code, you'll see a screen that looks like this. We're gonna go ahead and click on the clone git repository and paste in that link that we just copied. And then I'm gonna hit my enter or return button, and it will ask me about a location to which I want to clone down the repository, or to which I want to download the repository. So I'll go ahead and create a new folder here. I'll call it IT 2053C demos. And I'll go ahead and create that folder, and I'll select this as my repository destination. Once it's done, it'll ask me if I want to open the repository in that same window, or if I want to open it in a different window. I'll just go ahead and open it in this current window. And so it will take us to a screen that looks like this. Sometimes you may see this pop up at the bottom right corner, which basically is asking you if you would like to install some of the recommended extensions. I encourage you to always say yes. If you're not unsure, you can open the show recommendation, which will basically show what are those extensions that is being recommended for you. So I'll go ahead and click the install, which by default will install all of those extensions for me. Sometimes you'll find that I have provided the instructions in the README file here. Now this can look a little bit hard to read, in which case I would recommend that you click on this preview button, which will open up the markdown in a more of a rendered view, so you're able to see it as if it was a PDF file or so. Now obviously here are the prerequisites for the assignment. The first is that you've installed Anaconda or Conda or Mini Conda. Any of those should work fine. And the way we would verify our installation is by running conda -- version. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So up in the top, I'll go to the terminal and I will open a new terminal. That way I can interact with a terminal or with a command line interface through Visual Studio Code. That way I don't have to open two applications at once. Now from the terminal over here, I'm gonna go ahead and test that first step, making sure that I have Conda installed. I should get back a version. Same thing if I do Python -- version, I should be able to see that I have these versions of Python and Conda installed on my computer. The third required software is Visual Studio Code. Obviously, this is what we already have on the screen. If you're on a Windows, you may want to use Git Bash for your terminal if you're going to run any of the shell scripts that I provided here. However, this is a Python class, so I thought it would be the best use case for using Python is to actually create a script that will automatically set up your development environment for you. This script is available under the scripts folder, and I have provided different variations of that. One that is a shell version, basically to run on Mac OS or on a Linux-based systems, the .bat that is for Windows computers, and the one that I recommend that you would use is the cross-platform one, which in this case is a Python script. To use that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and close that, and from my terminal, I'm gonna follow this script over here, and I'll type in Python, and then provide the path to where that file is. So I'm running the script /setup.py, and then I will need to provide my username or my 6+2 username, in which case this is Jelani YM, and I'll go ahead and hit enter. This will go ahead and try to set up the environment. It will create a new Conda environment with the name of IT 2053C. It would also set up and install some of the common dependencies that we're going to be using throughout the semester. It may take a few minutes, so I'll pause and come back later. Now you see that it's done over here. You basically get this message that says we've set up the environment, and here's the student username that was assigned, and everything should be ready to go. Now, if I'm gonna be running Python in my terminal right here, like so, I'm still using the global version of Python on the computer. I'm not using the isolated environment that we've created for this class. The only way we can get to use that isolated environment is by making sure that we activate that environment. And you can see in the terminal here, I provided you with some of the usage instruction, basically saying that if you want to activate it, you need to type in conda activate IT 2053C. And I've configured my terminal to basically always show me the name of the environment, or the name of the environment that I've created in the terminal here. This may look a little bit different for you, but it still works nonetheless. If I want to exit out of this environment, I would do conda deactivate. Just to make sure that you have the latest environment set up, or the latest dependencies required for the assignment that you're going to be working on, you may want to run this conda environment update every time you start on a new assignment. Or I'm always going to make sure that I have this setup.py script in all of your assignments. Every time you update it, it will actually check if I already have the environment. All it would do at that point is updating that using the environment.yaml file here, which basically lists out all the dependencies that we need for our assignment. So if I try to execute that script again, that same Python setup script again, hopefully it will detect that you already have the environment, and instead of creating a new one, it is just updating the existing IT 2053C virtual environment here. The next thing you need to do is go over to the setup checker.ipynb. This is our interactive Python notebook file extension. Now, all we need to do at this step is making sure that our notebook is connected to the virtual environment, or to the conda environment that we've created. And you do that by going over to this button. Right now it says detecting kernel. Sometimes it will just say select kernel, but if I click on it, it should open up a kind of a drop down menu for me, and here I'm gonna select Python environments. I'll look over the list that I have, and until I find the one that we've just created, and it's called IT 2053C. If you don't see your virtual environment showing up here, you can either click on the reload. If it doesn't show up still, just exit, or completely shut down Visual Studio Code, open it again, and hopefully it will be there then. So I'll go ahead and select my kernel, and now you see that is actually connected to it. And then next I'll go ahead and run all. This basically will execute a few checks, again, making sure that we have the username set up correctly, we have the right version of Python, pip, conda, the right virtual environment, the right dependencies, you have Git installed. All of these things are just basically being checked for. And then at the end of that cell, let's scroll over. You should see something that looks like this. Hello, whatever your username is. And then here are all the checks that we've done, and we know that everything is working correctly. Now, one thing to just point out about Visual Studio Code, anytime you see that little circle next to the file name, that means this file has not been saved. So what I would always ask you to do is make sure that you save your file before you make any commits or before you make any pushes of your code to your GitHub repository. Otherwise, I don't see what you see. Then another nice trick here from Visual Studio Code, you can see this number 2 on the side, which basically says there are 2 files that has pending changes. Since the last time you cloned the repository, these 2 files has been updated. If I open those files or click on them, it will actually show you what those changes are. In the case of notebooks, it may look a little bit weird because behind the scene notebooks are basically JSON files, but we'll talk about that in a different time. But if I go to the Python one, see all the changes that has happened since we last cloned the repository. I'll go ahead and in the messages here, I'll just add a message, a descriptive message about where we are in this project. So this is ran the environment checks and it looks good. I'll hit commit. Now, if you have watched the videos on Git and GitHub, you know that basically this commit that I've done is only a commit on your local repository and has not yet made it into the remote repository, which is the one on GitHub, which is the one I have access to. So always make sure that you click on that sync changes, or you click on this button at the bottom left corner, which will basically update your remote repository with all the changes that you've done locally. Now, if all looks good and if you've gotten all those checks, now you know that you have your development environment set up and ready for this semester, and I'll see you next week.